Welcome to the Future of Less Work, where we explore how work is transforming one conversation at a time. I'm Nirit Cohen, and today's conversation is deeply human, and I think it will be deeply optimistic. For a while now, we've been asking, when AI performs many of the tasks we've traditionally associated with expertise, what becomes uniquely human? What makes us valuable? My guest today believes the answers have surprisingly little to do with technology. Because if AI takes over more of what is routine, analytical, and repeatable, it creates space. And we should use that space for more of what matters. More creativity, more purpose, more entrepreneurship, more self-discovery, more of the uniquely human capabilities that machines can't replicate. Shawn Casey is the co-founder of Noria, working with organizations and individuals at the intersection of leadership, well-being, and human potential. And what drew me to Shawn's perspective is that she isn't asking us to adapt to AI. She's suggesting we need to adapt to ourselves. And I want to hear more. Shawn, welcome to the Future of Less Work.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, I want to start there. How does adapting to ourselves make us successful in the age of AI?
So I think the people that are really going to do well in this wild moment that we are in is not only the people that have educated themselves on the technology and these new tools, because that's very important, but it's the people who have really invested in themselves, who have invested in doing the inner work to develop a really strong sense of self. So what I mean by that is, who am I? What do I believe? What do I care about? What am I here to do and contribute? So what are my unique gifts, my purpose, kind of the essence of who I am and what I was put here to do? Yeah. And
we've been talking about how purpose is an important motivational element for more and more people for quite a while now. And it feels like AI has swung us back because it's introduced the fear of being replaced. So I still need you to help me draw the line between why does it matter, right? I mean, if I'm at risk at losing my job, I would do whatever organizations need me to do as opposed to what matters.
Yeah, I think so. The way that I look about it in terms of purpose is your unique gifts and talents and skills that maybe you haven't fully tapped into yet because you've been bogged down with doing a lot of the tasks that your job has required of you. And now AI, this is my optimistic view on AI, is that it gives you the opportunity to automate a lot of those tasks. And like you said, it opens up space. It creates space for now, what are the other talents that you have and that you could possibly bring to this organization? Who are you at your core? What are the things? And these could be things that maybe you don't even bring to work right now. Maybe you are someone that is in a customer service role or a product, development role or whatever it may be, but you also have this really artistic side to you, this creative side to you. And suddenly there's going to be space to really bring that into your role at work in whatever way that may be. And I think leaders are going to have to be really adept at extracting that from their team members as well, which is also a very human skill that you need to have as a leader, the ability to attune to, what people have, their gifts, their talents, their potential.
Okay. And I think that's why I really was looking forward to us having this conversation. So I called this podcast The Future of Less Work, not because of the dystopian version of technology will take our job, but actually because I believe we should be doing, and maybe we can now be doing, more of what matters and less of what doesn't, right? So I think what you're saying is, release to the technology, whatever it can take on, and then look within you to find those uniquely you, not just uniquely human, but uniquely you capabilities that will make you valuable for work. Although it frankly might not be in the job that you're in, right? It might be elsewhere. And I know you work with individuals, and I actually know you focus specifically on a lot of women, right? And thinking that there are opportunities out there now that we didn't have in the past. What would you
Yes.
have us do? So if I'm looking, to your example with a customer service, and a lot of my job's gone, and maybe whatever I is important to me is not what I'm being asked to do. What can I do now?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think it's a great question for women. And that's why we've started to focus on women in our work. This is such an interesting moment for women in the workplace. Last year alone, in the US in just 2025, I think it was around 500,000 women left the workforce, which is a huge number. And that was for various reasons. And, there can be some doom and gloom to that. We don't want women leaving the workforce. But also, my optimistic view is I don't think any of that ambition is just disappearing and going away. So, where is it going? What are the opportunities that are coming up? And what is this moment allowing to transpire? And so, I think, for everyone and women specifically, is that okay, if my job is replaced, or a lot has been automated, can that open up space for me to really think about what I want to do? Am I learning to think and work in new ways? I think that's a big thing that AI is asking us to do is think outside of the box. Can I be, I've heard it called the age of authorship. So authoring your own work, your own life, what you want to do, because now you have the tools to be able to build in ways that you were never able to do. So I think, yeah, there's a lot more opportunity for entrepreneurship in this age to build things that you want, that feel more aligned with who you are and what you value, or maybe build things that you wanted or you needed. So, that's what I think about with women. So much of how the workplace was not built for women in mind. And so my hope is that these 500,000 women are now saying, okay, let's think about what is needed out there. Let's build companies in the way that I wish my company had been built. Let's build products that were never available to me. Let's create services that women would really benefit from. And now I have the tools to be able to do that in ways that I wasn't able to before. So there's less of a barrier to entrepreneurship.
Yeah, yeah. So I think that's one way to go is to say, okay, I have ability. And by the way, maybe we don't need to choose, right? I mean, it's also a period of time where you can do a lot of things on the side that might turn into a business or turn into something. But if I want to bring this back to the organization, and you did mention that leader, right? So first of all, leaders looking at themselves to try to figure out how to manage these technology, agent combined human teams, right? And extracting the human value from uniquely human versus, I think we don't know how to do that. What is uniquely human? How would you have them look at themselves to actually start do maybe the inner work that's required to be able to do then the management piece of this?
I think that's a great question. So much of what we teach, at the business that I run is these. We have an acronym called WATER that I won't walk you through, but these skills that are within it are essentially self-awareness, self-regulation, attuning to others, creating a sense, an environment that is safe, that people feel like they can, be themselves, that they can make mistakes, that they can reinvent, learn these new skills. And then also tapping into how do you create meaning and purpose and belonging at work. So those are a lot of things, but I'll start with the self-awareness piece. So the self-awareness piece, I think, is the foundation for all leaders that are wanting to really tap into these human skills and to be able to manage in this really, topsy-turvy time that is kicking up a lot of emotions within themselves and within their team members. So the self-awareness piece is essentially, what is this moment triggering in you? What is being activated in you? And then how are you reacting or behaving because of it? Are you bringing in any anxiety and fear into the environment or the team that you are managing? Are you able to, slow down, step back, see the bigger pictures, as much of the picture you can see with all this uncertainty that's before us, and not make really rash decisions? So that's that self-awareness piece, is kind of like, who am I in relation to this moment and how am I reacting and behaving, so that you as a leader have such a huge impact on the weather of, the
Everyone
environment,
around you. Yeah.
everyone
Yeah.
around you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's always, so I usually tell managers that whatever they're feeling about themselves and their own, uncertainty in career and where things are
Right.
going, just, use that to understand what their people are feeling, and how would you want others to help you through this, right? Be that for your
Beautiful.
people.
Yeah, yes. And you have such an impact, and that's that attuning to others piece. So I think that's the other piece of managing this moment, is being able to stay aware in yourself, regulated in yourself. So how are you calming your own nervous system so that you're not burning yourself out? I think there's a huge risk of that right now within leaders and among all team members. Um, we saw that in the pandemic, but we're seeing that again, this rapid escalation of new technologies and lots of changes and uncertainty. That is high risk for burnout and depletion. I think the technologies themselves also can kind of drain people if you don't step away from them and take care of yourself. Um, so how are you staying regulated? How are you staying filled up so that you can then tune into and support your team members? And I think that is another deeply human skill. How are you connecting with the people on your team, your clients, the culture at large, to really understand how they are adapting to all of this change, what their fears are, what their needs are, what their desires are, so that you can adapt your management style as so, and be there to support them through this.
So, you talked about women, right? And what
Mhm.
we know that the management style of women is different than historically what management looked like. And in a period of turmoil, fear, a lot of, uncertainty, people tend to actually show that they know, show that they're not afraid, show that they've got it. They don't tend to say, actually, I'm tired of the speed of change, and I worry about the technology, and I worry about whether I'll fit in. And I'm wondering how we get people to actually bring out the more vulnerable human questions at a time where everything around them is probably signaling the opposite. Pretend you're on top of everything, pretend you know.
Yeah. Oh, it's a great question. I think helping people understand the power and effectiveness of using vulnerability in that way, and the nuance of it, right? Like, we call this being leaky. You don't want to be leaky. You don't want to show up as a leader and just spill all of your fears and anxieties onto your team. That can feel very scary as a team member. In a moment when everyone's feeling unmoored, you don't want the captain of your ship to be like, we're just floating out to sea. We don't know what's going to happen. But you do want to be truthful. You want to be honest and you want to be authentic because people are really craving that right now. I think we are also in a moment where there's an enormous lack of trust in our institutions, in our companies, in our leadership. And that comes from not being honest, not being truthful. And so the nuance there, the line to walk is not to like dump all of your dysregulated anxieties or stresses or fears onto your team. So that's the self-awareness and self-regulation piece. But it's to be able to come from a grounded, centered truth where you can be vulnerable and say, I don't have all the answers right now. This is new for everyone, every single person. For you, for me, we don't know where we're going. We don't know exactly what's going to happen, but we're going to take it one day at a time. And, we're going to do it together. So, and I think people really respond to that type of leadership because that's what they're craving right now. That's what they're
Yeah.
needing is truth, honesty.
Yeah, and I would also add it's also the right thing to do because you don't have all the answers and you shouldn't pretend to need to have all the answers. And the only way to invite people to grow into the new versions of the jobs and the processes and the transformation for the organization is actually to help them co-design with you. I think Microsoft's talked about in one of the reports and the interviews that I did, a blocked agency. That's when people can do more and the system is slowing them down because we still think our leaders need to be sitting in rooms designing the system. And if we circle back to where you started, right, is what are you uniquely good at and where can you contribute? Usually people see that faster, but we tell them to stay within their box.
Right. And what a fantastic, that you tied it together beautifully because part of being vulnerable as a leader and saying you don't have all the answers is also being open to your team members to knowing more than you or being better at something than you. And to your point, co-creating the future of the work that you're doing together and coming at it from this very collaborative place. And so if you're a leader, again, that has a very strong sense of self, that's coming back to that inner work where you're not leading with your ego. You don't have this really fragile sense of self that like, oh my goodness, if I empower my team members, then that's going to be bad for me. They're going to take over my job, whatever it might be, those fears. If you have that strong sense of self, then you are able to lift up others. You're able to, again, attune to them, see, what are they not seeing? What are the talents that they bring that they don't even see in themselves that I can extract from them and I can use to all of our benefits? And so, that is going to be huge in this next era, this co-creative, collaborative. What are everyone's unique contributions and how can we leverage those human gifts when everything else is going to be automated and kind of regurgitated? You want to find the gems within your team that are unique to them.
So let's take this back to the personal level because this is really hard work, right? What do I stand for? What am I good at? What are my unique skills? We're used to thinking in boxes, right? And it's my profession, it's my job, it's the things I know how to do. A lot of people struggle with understanding how to even start uncovering those uniquely human, but not just uniquely human, uniquely me capabilities.
Yeah. So I think this is where, this is really why we even started our business, is that we found that as coaches, leaders really need those skills. So I think leaders need to develop these coaching skills where they are carving out space to do deep listening, to really understand who their people are, to notice the subtle ways in which they are doing good things to pull out their own values, what really lights people up. When I was managing a large team, I used to do an exercise of, what drains you and what fills you up. And so it's getting these clues by observing the work, by having conversations, by really understanding who people are, to start to put together, these unique gifts that they are contributing or bringing, and to pull them out and reflect them back so that people understand them. Because like you said, sometimes it's really hard to see that in yourself and understand what you're good at. And that's why
Yeah.
that mirror is
Yeah.
helpful.
But I actually wanted to step away from the manager for a second and think about the individual listening to us. Or I know, like I said, I know you work with women, for example, as individuals to think through themselves and their own career. And these are not questions we're used to asking ourselves. We're used to asking ourselves questions about the next job or the next thing I want to do, right? How do I do this about myself without my manager, or if they're not good at it, or if they're not, getting it?
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a really great framework. It's a Japanese framework called Ikigai, which helps a lot of people identify that. And I can't even, hopefully I'll be able to remember, but it's the intersection of, what you're really good at, what you care about, what you can make money off of. And there's one more, I think, that I'm forgetting.
Yeah.
But you can start to go through these exercises, and sometimes it's helpful to look at the retrospect of your entire career, kind of go through where you started, what, how you've worked through it, and where were the moments that, again, really lit you up, that you felt passionate about, that you felt a sense of flow state, where it was like, I could have done this forever, for hours, that you felt like really energized. Look for those moments. Those are the moments where you're feeling passion and purpose. Look for the things that you're good at that other people aren't good at. And sometimes you might have to ask other people, what am I good at? Because you think like, oh, everyone's good at these things. But actually, no, they're not. It's pretty unique to you.
It's by the way, that's a really important one, because we know that a lot of times the things that come easy to us, that we're assuming they're not valuable, they're not work, right? Because for us, they're not work. It's, the people in the room that can see the dynamics between people, right? They assume everyone can see the dynamics, but some people don't. So they would pay you to be the person that helps them see what they can't see, right?
Exactly. Yes, these very subtle gifts. And I think, soft skills, I don't like calling them soft skills
Yeah, I
because
think
they're
we call
so
them power
powerful.
skills these days. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah. Are going to be so valuable in this new era of work, where a lot of kind of the maybe more hard skills are going to be automated. And so those soft skills, or those power skills, can feel kind of invisible or intangible until you really pull them out and you see, oh yeah, not everyone is good at this, but I am really good at attuning to others, reading the room, seeing patterns, slowing down and seeing the big picture. So yeah, there's a lot of tools that can help you with that as well. You can do some of the personality tests, or the Enneagram, or, Ikigai, or frameworks like that, to help you see yourself a little bit more clearly. And then also, talking to other people, coaches, friends, trusted colleagues, have that be part of the review process. It's just this reflection of who you are that might be hard for you to see in yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you think that we overlook certain qualities or skills and capabilities that we have because they don't fit into the traditional career model? Because you talked about, for example, what I stand for or what my values are, and those didn't used to fit into traditional career models.
Yeah, I do. And I think they can't be overlooked in this moment. And so I'll give a personal example um, of intuition.
Hmm.
Where, I think that is very overlooked. And it's even put in the category of, woo woo or esoteric or, something very not work appropriate or very, or not corporate. I think in the age of AI, intuition is going to become very important and a highly valuable skill. And it's, there's a level of discernment that you need to use in this moment. And so, um, the example that comes to mind for me is that, I've been using AI as a small business owner to do all kinds of stuff. It was a few months ago that Claude came out with Claude Cowork and Copilot, and I was like blown away by what I was able to do. Now I could create all of these financial models that is not in my skill set or wheelhouse, and they were beautiful and they were functioning well and accurately and just doing things that I would never be able to model myself. I would have had to pay someone else to do that, and it would have taken time and money, et cetera. So I've used it in so many ways. And then I found myself thinking, wow, this is so capable now. These tools, can it do other things? And I'm in the business of creating, or what else can it do? And I'm in the business of creating these, deeply human transformative experiences, offsites, workshops, things that are meant to really move people and touch them at a deep level. And it takes a lot of work and a lot of time. And I thought maybe, Claude can help me with my curriculum. And when I did that, everything that came back to me, I just was like, no, this is not it. It is not able to design these experiences in the way that I need them to. When it first, came back to me, it was, it looked nice. There was some good ideas. It looked professional and buttoned up. But that's the discernment and intuition, was that there's something off here. This is
Yeah.
not quite right. This is not doing what I need it to do. And what I needed to do in that moment was actually get away from these tools, go for a walk in the woods, and reconnect with myself again. And the inner wisdom and intuition that I have from years of experience and coaching and running these, being a human myself, interacting with many clients, all of these inputs that allow you to have this intellect and intuition of okay, this is the design that I need to create right now.
And what's beautiful about this story, I am going to push back on the word intuition for a moment, is that I think that because we used hard skills to describe work, right? You have words like coaching or leadership development. We don't have the nuances of the uniquely human, all the way down to the uniquely you contribution level that makes one leadership development exercise very different from another, or coach different from another, right? We don't have the words. So we plug in words like intuition, but because intuition is clearly individual. And so I get, right? I intuitively get that when you look at something, you have a different set of glasses that you look through in terms of assessing whether it's a fit. And it would work for your type of content and your type of activity. And it would be very different than my set of glasses with my content. And the system is not able to to generate you. And I think that's a beautiful way to circle back to, in the age of AI, we all have to really, really get clear on what makes you, what makes me. And
yes,
and it might take some time. We might, and the tools are, lots of models will help you will ask the right questions. But that's going to be the key to figuring out your value proposition.
Yes, exactly. And then to know it and to trust it and to not get, I think that's a big thing too, not get lost in these technologies.
Yeah.
Because I think they're so powerful and they're so impressive that there's a big risk for that, where you kind of can get sucked in and you can outsource all of your intellect and intuition and decision-making power to these tools because you're like, wow, they know more than I do. And in some cases they do, but in some cases they don't. And in what cases do they not? Because that's what's going to separate you from the rest. Your ability to discern when the bot or the tool is not doing what you need it to do because you actually know better.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Awesome. So I want to wrap up with a question. What do you think is the question we should all be asking ourselves about the future of work?
I think it's related to the conversation we just had. Who am I? And what do I have to uniquely contribute in this moment in time?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's really, really important. Wow, Shawn, thank you for joining me today.
Yes, thank you for having me and asking these big questions. It was such a pleasure.
Thank you. These are times for big questions. For more about Shawn Casey and Noria and their residency program, check out the links in the episode description. If you've enjoyed today's conversation, don't forget to follow The Future of Less Work wherever you get your podcasts. And remember, your best people do not work because they have to. They do not work because you measure them. They do not work because you tell them. They work because they want to. Because by working for you, they're doing what's important to them in life. Till next time.